I speak for everyone who's ever played a Rockstar game on PC when I say, fuck Social Club. Fuck Social Club in particular. I could honestly spend an entire video ranting about my hatred for this DRM system, but I think my running gag nicely sums it up. I see that the developers of this game found a new video effect and decided to get their money's worth out of it, because this effect happens in every damn cutscene. One sin removed for the Max Payne theme.
Time to move on. Get on with my life. Yes, absolutely.
Narration. Developers had a short-lived fetishistic love of mirror-gazing shots and staticky old televisions back in 2010 to 2012, because that shit just looks deep. Emphasis on the word looks. And deep.
Let it go. Seriously.
Wasn't that what the ending of Max Payne 2 was all about? Max moving on from his dead wife and daughter? But this game conveniently forgets how that game ended so it can use the same morbid and depressed character. We have a word to define entertainment that ignores previous character development, and it's called a reboot, and this ain't that. Right from the beginning, this game starts jumping around in time so much that it's hard to get a grasp of what's going on. It starts with Max arriving in Sao Paulo to start a new job, then transitions to a scene from the end of the game, then to the first level of the game. Also, we are meant to think that this burnt and mutilated person that Max is standing over is some important character, and that's why we can't make out the face. Also, we can be shocked when the game finally reveals who it is. However, it's essentially a character we met twice and barely learned anything about.
So I guess I'd become what they wanted me to be. A killer.
I'm pretty sure you were that after the first two games. This game just adds to an already impressive body count.
Some rent-a-clown with a gun who puts holes in other bad guys. Well, that's what they had paid for, so in the end, that's what they got.
After the last two games, what exactly would anyone hire you to do other than that? Your resume by this point has to be a newspaper obituary page.
And these chumps had paid for some angry gringo without the sensibilities to know right from wrong. And I realized they were correct. I wouldn't know right from wrong if one of them was helping the poor and the other was banging my sister.
But every action in this game proves that Max does know right from wrong. He always tries to do the right thing. He's just cynical about everything and everyone. Even here, he's trying to stop bad guys.
We call it trickle-down economics.
In an attempt to replicate the graphic novel cutscenes of the first two games, this game likes to throw text up on the screen when the characters are talking. You may recognize this technique from gaming videos on YouTube, where kids splash text on screen for a few frames whenever they scream at something.
I see Rodrigo over there talking to that guy.
Yeah, I don't know him.
Despite the introduction, that guy is never seen again in the game, which leads me to believe his part in the story was cut, but they forgot to cut him out of this cutscene.
That guy next to him, he's some kind of cop. I'm not sure. Serious though. Big N cop, anti-gang sort of thing. I can't remember his name.
Remember how I said earlier that we would be disappointed by who that dying guy in the opening shot was? Well, this game doesn't even bother to tell you his name here. Why was he so important that the game opened on him again?
So who's this guy?
That guy's a plastic surgeon or some kind of surgeon.
This surgeon is also only seen one other time in the game, just before he dies. Honestly, this game doesn't seem to know who its own characters are at times or what to do with them. I'm assuming this is another example of a game with a ton of content that was cut, but cutscenes weren't changed to reflect those cuts.
Tummy tucks and cock implants.
Cock implants. Sign me and several 100 million men up for that.
Look at Marcel. Still dances like a fool.
I'm going to introduce every single character, no matter how awkward it makes this scene.
Fabiana. She was hot and wanted to be dangerous. Some good genes trying to fight their way out of a cesspit. She'd married well, and was now at leisure to regret her good fortune.
The first half of the plot will center on Fabiana and her kidnapping, and this narration from Max constitutes pretty much all of her character development. Max has more narration about her than she has lines.
She spent a lot of time with his cokehead younger brother, Marcello. The middle brother, Victor, had just walked in. He was a local politician.
I see that it's Max's turn to introduce the rest of the cast. Considering that these guys shot the bouncer as soon as they walked in, I'm surprised that they don't kill Max the second they see him with his gun out. Rather than just lean over the railing and shoot the guy holding Fabiana, Max jumps off the roof so he can slide down it while shooting him. A clear symptom of advanced John Woo disease. Rodrigo Bronco is tied up with a bag over his head when the thugs shoved him into the van. Once Max stops the van, Bronco jumps out and has his hands free, but the bag is still covering his head. So either he untied himself and somehow forgot about the bag on his head, or the developers just forgot about that fact. Game tries to get away with a Vietnam-style helicopter transition.
A couple of days later, it was back to work, ferrying the boss's broad and his dipshit of a brother out for the night so they could recover from their brush with mortality.
Why would the same family that was nearly kidnapped a week ago at a party go to another party with even less security than the last one?
Max! Max! I was speaking to you!
No, you weren't. You were pouring drinks for your sister-in-law.
Nothing but the second best. Why can't we sit over there, Mom?
Probably because there were 3 people sitting on the couch already and there's no room. And that hardly looks like the best seat in the club, unless that seat comes with free 3-ways. In that case, I'll remove this sin for him being justifiably ripped off.
Fucking monkey from a fucking slum.
That's racist.
Say, Max, you're a man of the world.
He spent most, if not all, of his life in New York and New Jersey. Man of the world, he is not.
My nigga, how are
You cannot drop the my inward bomb if you aren't black, and especially if you aren't black and speaking to another black person. Ironically, this is a rule created by white people and mostly enforced by white people. Everyone is surprised that the same thing that happened at the last party happens again at this one. A Brazilian street gang has access to a helicopter. Even the street gangs are upgrading in Brazil because of the Olympics. Why is Marcelo here in the chopper with Passos? Last we saw him, he was taken hostage by the gang members as well. Even Max was surprised by it, but then he just hand waves it away without questioning it.
Grab the girls and Marcelo, but he's here now.
The developers seem to have forgotten that Max can't actually slow down time. His bullet time is just his quick reflexes. Sharp reflexes would not allow him to shoot rockets out of the air while hanging upside down from a helicopter. For that, you actually would need to slow down time. If I were planning to pay gang members off to hand over the girl they kidnapped, I think I would choose a more inconspicuous place than an empty soccer stadium at night. Was a hotel or parking lot not available? Also, Max and Passos walk out onto the field, get immediately held up, and hand over the money even though Fabiana is not with the gang members. And how does anyone sneak up on you in the middle of a lit soccer field?
What's he saying?
Open the bag, show him it's full of money.
These guys took their guns. Why are they now negotiating for the money? They could just shoot Max and Passos and take it. Negotiating is no longer necessary. Also, they didn't show you Fabiana and you just hand over the ransom money, so this deal is very one-sided. NPC characters can only be effective when the main character is wounded cliché.
I'm getting flashbacks to that wedding we worked in Aruba.
Were there snipers, kidnappers, and flesh wounds at that wedding too?
So what am I, the button pusher?
Yeah. You're so good at it.
Well, you are the main character.
This is high-end gear.
He's wearing gunner glasses, obviously a pro Call of Duty player.
Shit, they got the guy with the bag.
You do have a sniper rifle and they are lined up for a perfect shot, but Max is no longer staggering around, so you don't get to be useful anymore. Passos jumps out of the skyboot to get away from the incoming paramilitary thugs, then runs up the stairs next to it to a door that would have taken him right back into the booth he just jumped out of. Lucky for him, it's locked.
Deixa pra lá. A gente tá sendo pago pra pegar o dinheiro.
Not worth it. They killed dozens of your men. It's not like you haven't been trying to kill them all night anyway.
Trouble seems to find us, Max.
Sure, trouble finds us the same way you found me, slumped in a bar.
Max is easily flashback triggered.
Put the music up!
These New Jersey Guido stereotypes have dated this game far earlier than anyone would have ever thought.
Has-been washed-up old cops should go on TV. Tell some jokes about how you got your wife killed or some shit.
Why would anyone related to the Mafia ever antagonize Max Payne, the guy who killed just about every criminal in New York over the past 2 games? That kind of thing builds a reputation.
Now say you're sorry. You
Say
fucking
you're sorry.
has-been cop motherfucker. Say you are sorry.
Say you're fucking
Look
sorry,
away from me.
you
Look away
fucking
from me. Don't you stare at me. Say you're sorry.
So turn his head to the side and say sorry to empty space?
Don't worry about it.
Fuck!
That's racist.
Max fucking Payne.
With a name like Max Payne, I would honestly believe fucking was his real middle name.
You faggots still got something to say to me?
That's racist.
I don't like spics who tell me to fuck off.
That's racist.
Now fuck off.
Don't stare at me, whore.
Was the woman staring at you really more upsetting than Passos staring at you and telling you to fuck off? This feels like a cheap way of getting a woman involved just so Max can have a reason to shoot the guy.
They barred the front door. Of course, we were trapped in here.
How? We watched them walk in, and you can't bar the door from the inside. So unless their plan was to have someone stay outside and bar the door, this is just an excuse to have Max and Passos fight their way out the back.
You were the best guy in the academy. And you won medals on the street.
Hey, I lost loved ones on the street. Right? Family.
Actually, your wife and child died inside your home. Has Hoboken ever been this deserted? There isn't a person on the street except for the Mafia. Random crazy guy appears for one scene, saves Max, then blows himself up with a suicide vest. What the actual fuck? Apparently no one but Max and the crazy guy lived in the apartment, because no one opens their door to see what all the shooting and explosions are about or calls the police.
Dead end.
But you knew your way around these parts.
Let's just get over there.
I guess it wasn't a dead end then if you can easily climb over the fence. Max was flashbacking from the time in the helicopter to now on a speedboat traveling up a river. I'm surprised Passos never interrupted his flashback between then and now.
The guys that crashed that little party at the stadium, they were a group of paramilitaries.
You'll have to forgive me for not being able to follow all this.
You're not supposed to follow him.
I'm with Max. This plot is all over the place. It has the feel of a story that was changed halfway through and not for the better. Enemies in this game are only good at shooting the things Max is standing on, causing it to fall over and Max to kill them dramatically while falling in slow motion. Max survives this. I feel that at this point, scenes where you shoot from the back of a moving vehicle at dozens of enemies count as an overused cliche.
Hey, I got it! I got it!
You repaired a blown up engine? Considering how many locks Max keeps on his door, I'm surprised Passos can just walk right in. If you go to the trouble of installing that many locks, you are going to keep at least one of them locked at night.
You fucking pair of clowns.
I'm sorry, sir. We risked our lives several times over trying to save...
I know. I just wish I knew what was happening and why.
Well, that de-escalated quickly. They lost some money and failed to rescue Fabiana. Rodrigo Bronco has every right to be pissed.
May I say, you would be best served se contratar profissionais e não esses amadores pés de chinelo.
I don't speak Portuguese, and neither does Max, but if I can recognize the word professionals in that sentence and realize that he's recommending Bronco get rid of Max, Max should be able to as well.
I was born into great fortune. Sometimes it feels like I have done nothing apart from being a rich man in a poor country.
To be perfectly honest, that's really all you and your brothers have been. I have absolutely no idea what your company does. They just do generic rich people things like partying and flying in helicopters.
It's not working. There's a way to reboot the system. If I can get to the server room, I should be able to get everything back online.
I've honestly lost count of how many movies and games use the nerdy IT guy needs to get to the server room to reboot the system cliche. Why even have all this security monitoring equipment in your office if it can't be controlled from here?
I should be able to override the system if I could just get to the server room.
Yes, you've already told us that. You think I've never seen Jurassic Park before? Personally, I'm hoping a raptor eats you on the way there. All of the guys that broke into the building were waiting patiently outside Bronco's unlocked office rather than storming in. If this door was still locked, then how did the paramilitary guys get into the office in the first place? This is the only entrance. As much as I like how this game has Max actually carry the weapons you have on him into every cutscene, when said cutscenes end with a gunfight, as they often do, it starts you with your sidearm rather than the assault rifle you had out originally.
Are we dead?
This question is never as funny as people think it is.
These clowns were the same guns for hire who jumped our exchange at the stadium. Croce Preto, the Black Badge.
There are 3 different enemy groups in this game: the Comando Sombra, the Croce Preto, and the Ufe, and honestly, I can barely keep up with which is doing what. These must be the paramilitary thugs who made it to the show late, since they only show up just now driving through the front door of the building that was already attacked a while ago.
I couldn't get playback on one of the cameras and it looked like the disc was missing.
Why is security camera footage being recorded to DVDs? Normally that would be stored digitally on a hard drive. It's going to take a lot of discs for even one day of recording from multiple security cameras. And why did they take the disc anyway if they were going to plant a bomb in the same room with the security recordings? In this shot we can clearly see that there's no bomb under Rodrigo Branco's desk, yet there is one when Max accidentally drops a bottle of booze under it. Max survives this.
Why did you come to kill Rodrigo Bronco?
Came to kill you. Because of what you did to us. You killed so many of us.
These are the same Croce Preto guys that said Max wasn't worth killing at the stadium. Now they came here on a mission to kill him for killing so many of their men back at the stadium. Haircut that just so happens to leave Max looking like Walter White.
What happened, Max?
I don't know. Some guys from the Croce Preto came into the building downstairs, so while me and the security guard were dealing with them, an assassin must have come in and executed your brother.
You dealt with the Croce Preto alone. There was no security guard, just an unarmed IT guy. I think the devs might have cut that from the game too, but forgot to change this line talking about it. I'm only sending Max's shirt because everyone in my Twitch stream begged me to. Personally, I think it's smart and fashionable.
Falo sim, sem problema.
I need to know if you've ever seen this girl, Fabiana. Come here for a second. Look at her.
I know lots of girls. Sexy. Come on, come on.
Don't you have a scene in Metal Gear Revengeance to go shoot? This kid has obviously never seen Fabiana before, but Max follows him anyway, despite the fact that he's rather obviously leading him to a brothel. Twerking. Losing one weapon in a cutscene means you lose all of your weapons. These girls need college.
Hey, Matt, can I buy you a beer?
How did Silva even know Max would be here? He walked in here because he had no idea where to go. Yet this cop who needs his help just happened to be waiting here of all places. And what's more, Max has been presumed dead for over a week. Max Payne 3's boob rendering technology is 5 years behind Metro Last Light. Who exactly is this girl dancing for? The other stripper sitting in a lawn chair? Fellow strippers never make it rain, I'm afraid.
Have you ever seen this guy?
Maybe at the stadium.
You never saw that guy at the stadium. He was out of sight while I aimed an RPG at you. Nope, no Breaking Bad references here. Just a bald man with a beard destroying a drug den.
Then I saw that Marcello had turned up with a suitcase full of money along with Fabiano's sister, Giovanna.
After the first ransom payoff went south, why would Marcello bring the Commando Sombra another suitcase full of money? And why would he bring his sister-in-law with him? And how did he beat Max here? He was with Victor when Max called and told him where Fabiano was being held. And Max was already in the favela when he made that call. And he even had to get Giovanna before coming here.
But there was no backing out now. I would just have to act harder than I felt.
And by that he means barging through the door, getting held up and disarmed, and getting Fabiana killed. Great job breaking it, hero.
Here I was again, with all hell breaking loose around me, standing over another dead girl I had been trying to protect.
I can't think of a worse time for a long flashback than when a guy has a gun to your head with orders to kill you.
I still hadn't really forgiven myself for the Mona business.
Yeah, you did. I played Max Payne 2. The whole ending was about forgiving yourself. Losing one weapon in a cutscene means you lose all of your weapons. Wow, this plan really came together. Max came to this graveyard to visit his wife and daughter's grave before leaving the city, and it just so happened that the mob boss father of the guy Max killed was here at the same time with a grave made for Max. Talk about convenient.
You killed my son! You fucking spick!
That's racist. Max Payne rips off pretty much every scene ever of the hero digging his own grave and then using the shovel to disarm the guy with a gun. If I were a bad guy, I'd just shoot my captive and dig the grave myself. Oh, are you done having a flashback? Good, because I've been waiting forever to shoot you. Note to self, if someone ever slow turns like this, just open fire before he does anything else.
I may be a moron, but here's the thing. I ain't quite as dumb as I seem.
Max started saying that line before the explosion distracted the guy. Almost like he knew an explosion was coming and he better pause in the middle of his line so the guy would be distracted and he could grab the gun and then finish the line in the most badass way possible. I'm pretty sure the police in Brazil would not be able to get away with indiscriminate murder of poor people. These people have cell phone cameras. That would be all over the world news. No Olympics for you, Brazil. Probably the first time I've ever seen enemies take all of the weapons from the main character in a cutscene, so this gets a pass. QuickTime boss fight.
Why did they do that to Marcelo?
It's a legendary gang way of killing people.
These are no ordinary street gang.
I guess they want people to think they are. With this, they can justify the killings of today and the people they took.
Killing Marcelo to justify the police raid seems rather pointless. Max was in multiple shootouts long before they arrived. That alone would justify the raid.
I didn't know if this was a good place to hide or not. When half the local police force and a crew of paramilitary psychopaths want to send you upstairs, I reasoned the crowd was as good a place as any.
That's good logic, which makes it odd that you decide to then walk through an empty junkyard where you get attacked. I mean, what was wrong with taking one of the buses parked right next to you?
They're going to kill us!
Giovanna, just wait there! I'll just be here soon.
There isn't going to be a soon if we stay here. We have to move.
Giovanna, get down!
I made it down!
Giovanna single-handedly undoes all the gains Ellie made in The Last of Us for good female NPC characters.
We're going to make it, are we?
We'll be fine. We just gotta lay low till Passos gets here.
This raises a good question. Why wasn't Passos with Marcelo and Giovanna when they went to the favela to pay the ransom? Unlike Max, he wasn't presumed dead by the Bronco family and was still their security guard. And to make things worse, Giovanna is pregnant with his child, so why didn't he tag along? These guys can't shoot Giovanna even with a clear shot.
Ever driven a bus before?
Of course I haven't.
Ever shot anybody?
No.
Well, it's drive or shoot, sister, and right now, I reckon I'll be better at the shooting.
Hanging at the side of a slow-moving bus is actually the dumbest thing one could do here. You're just lucky you get infinite ammo and the enemies die in one shot for this sequence. Sao Paulo has a population of over 11 million. Where are all the people at?
Giovanna, go. I need you to get up to the roof of this building and get to Passos. Tell them to wait for me. Now go.
Or you could go with her and both of you leave in the helicopter. There's really no reason to make a stand here in the crashed bus.
I was just about to run to the roof when my savior and friend, the man whose unborn child I had just killed for, decided to leave without me.
Dick move, sure, but you killed all the Croce Prado guys, so it really doesn't matter anymore.
Boy, Max! Get in!
That's twice now that De Silva has shown up at the right place without any knowledge of Max's whereabouts.
Did you get paid by Victor?
Victor, no.
Well, Raul Passos did. He even paid for a ticket for him to go to New York.
Why?
I don't know, maybe he wanted some dumb gringo to come down here to shoot things up and maybe to take the watch for Rodrigo.
That is an ambitious plan to set someone up for murder when you could have just used someone local, like Passos, since he wasn't actually in on Victor's plans. No, they specifically wanted Max Payne to frame for Rodrigo's death, even though he would have no motive for doing so. And what's more, Victor didn't even set Max up after Rodrigo was killed. He's not wanted for anything. Having this flashback requires me to get out of the car.
What's the deal with this guy, eh? He's kind of stuck up.
How is Max remembering a private conversation between Marcelo and Passos that they specifically walked away from him to have? Apparently Max has his alarm clock set to go off in the middle of the day. Game expects me to believe that while crossing the Panama Canal, your yacht can be taken over by pirates. It's only one of the most trafficked and secure places in the world. I'm not sure how anyone believes this would make for a good hiding spot or cover. Max survives this. So the pirates are here looking for the money Marcelo and Passos were smuggling on the boat. Somehow the two of them got it off the boat and onto a truck right next to the canal and in full view of dozens of armed pirates. If Max was able to spot them loading it, surely the pirates could. How did Max and Passos ever get hired to protect Rodrigo Bronco if this is how their last job ended, with their employer and all of her friends dead?
What about me?
You? You're the fall guy. The American. Running around, acting like the action hero, killing lots of people. You're a stroke of genius.
Stroke of genius? Of all the people to try to set up, why Max Payne, the guy who was once framed for killing his partner and managed to prove his innocence?
Then I need you to check something out for me.
Like what?
That incident at the favela today. Now, some of my officers say a bus drove off some captives.
It did, I saw it.
But no captives were ever booked.
There's really no reason for Max to stick around anymore. Fabiana is dead, and so are Rodrigo and Marcelo. Giovanna is safe, and as far as Max knows, Passos was in on setting him up. Why risk his life going into a gang-controlled hotel looking for missing people? This is the second time the game has started Max in a level with a silencer, like it's a stealth mission. However, there's zero stealth and your first encounter turns into just another gunfight. It sure is handy when all the evidence is laid down on a table or shelf for someone to come along and find.
Who wants to take a shot? You see what this is? Come on, anybody?
Yes, and it's not a dead man switch, so them shooting you will not detonate the C4 you planted in the hotel.
You think you made any difference? You think stopping this legitimate business venture is helping anyone?
Legitimate? You're stealing people's organs!
We pay for everything. We have the record.
Oh, so people can sell their livers, their hearts, their eyeballs? You're insane, you sick fuck!
Max has a point. That's pretty illegal. So illegal that I'm not sure why you're even trying to claim it isn't. Max blows the building, but it doesn't immediately collapse, which means his threat to blow the building wasn't much of a threat to begin with. I speak for everyone who's ever played this game when I say, fuck this bullet sponge. Fuck this bullet sponge in particular.
I told you the city was dangerous, friend.
The building is exploding all around you and you still find time to do a villain taunt? Just maybe this is a scenario where l'esprit de l'esclair would be preferable. If you don't know what that means, then Google it. I'm not here to hold your hand through these things. What the hell is Passos doing here? Not only did he have no idea that Max was here, Max blew up the building, meaning that if Passo was making his way through it at the time, which he would have had to have been, he would have been caught in the explosion. This is the plan? Just walk into UFE headquarters, get captured, and then somehow make that work in your favor?
I don't understand. I can't hear you.
What are you doing here?
Doing here? Me in the ear.
Hey, answer me! What are you doing here?
That actually works. How it works, I'm not sure, since when they arrested Max, they cupped his hands behind his back. Somehow De Silva engineered not only a prison break inside the station, but that the prisoners would have easy access to automatic weapons and grenade launchers.
If there was one thing I learned since being in Sao Paulo, it was that me and the local elevators were not a good mix.
You haven't had a single issue with an elevator in this game until now, though.
There it was, the tape from the Bronco security system.
It's not a tape, it's a DVD. And why would they not destroy the only evidence that shows one of Becker's men killing Rodrigo? Bachmeyer just ran into this room, and it's a long hallway that Max rolls down on top of a cart. Yet Bachmeyer is nowhere to be found in it. How did Bachmeyer pull off that disappearing trick? Putting your gun away to deal with your own hands cliché.
Let go of him, Max.
Huh?
And he's not going to shoot you when he has a chance either, is he? Anyone else tired of main characters easily escaping situations like this? That's the 4th or 5th time in this game that it's happened.
They had barred the door. My only hope was to chase them down. I knew they'd be leaving town, and my guess is they would try to fly out of here.
Is there any reason for them to fly away? De Silva made it quite clear that the authorities can't touch Victor and Becker, and Max doesn't really have any evidence that would link them to the killings. And somehow they got to the airport well before Max, despite leaving the station at around the same time. So we're all in agreement. This scene is straight out of Die Hard 2. Shouldn't these trains be going in opposite directions from each other? Despite a train crash and gunfight, the guards on the tarmac are unaware that Max is here.
I ain't got nowhere else to go, Becker.
Why didn't you shoot them while they were unaware that you were there? Did you really have to give yourself away? You're not John McClane enough for this. Oh, so that's who that guy was at the beginning.
Meanwhile, Victor Bronco, the politician at the center of the scandal, who is accused of laundering money from the scheme to fund his political campaign for mayor, was yesterday found hanged in his police cell.
For all of your plot wrap-up news, turn to the Epilogue News channel, where we close out the story in the most convenient way possible.
And now, your local forecast. Boy, it's dark in some places, but it's sunny everywhere else.
Wow, they can wrap up the plot nicely, but that may be the dumbest weather forecast I've ever seen. It's dark in some places, sunny in others. You don't say. Stare off into the sunset cliché.
I was in a computer game. Funny as hell, it was the most horrible thing I could think of.